Hi, my name is Ayaz, and I'm here to present our papers for the Education Data Mining Conference. Our paper's title is The Principles Use of Data Analytics in Finnish Schools. So briefly about our paper. So we know that social data analysis is famous. It has been used in different domains, particularly in education and in different environments. But basically, the use of the data analytics, particularly by the principles, still remain underexplored. And in this paper, basically, we want to understand that how the school principals are using the data analytics tools, and within this adoption, what kind of challenges they encounter and how they handle all these problems. So from EDM perspective, we almost actually, and that there are already so many great papers that was presented here at EDM that by using some educational data mining techniques, we try to understand actually how the students' overall learning experience can be improved, right? And from the academic analytics AA perspective, is that basically what we are trying to do is that we try to apply some business intelligence principles to education, and which can help us in strategic decision making. And from also academic analytics perspective, it's also more about the administrative side of this educational data. For example, to identify some kind of academic issues or enhance the overall KPI in the student retention. So we know that actually there have been already something or great things going on at EDM and the academic analytics, but within the adoption of the data analytics, we know that actually some challenges already happen, particularly from the perspective principles. And we can summarize all these categories under three category, which are the ethical issues, technical issues, and the cost. Ethical issues, we already know that each education system, they have the different regulations. So once you adopt the new education technology, you really need to be careful, and you need to make sure that they also align all the legislation in the country, right? So that was one of the reasons that the school principals or educational leaders, they decided not to use the data analysis. The second one is the technical issues. Of course, all these tools, they come with even the best user experience provider one. They come with some instructions that you need to dedicate time and you need to have some kind of digital literacy to be able to implement this. And the third one is the cost, because you know that you also know that most of these data analytics tools, you need to dedicate some budget, and while dedicating some budget, either you don't have this budget or you really need to communicate with the local educational institutions that you really need this platform. And the literature also highlights the importance of the principles because once the principals adopt this kind of new innovative ways in their educational institutions, we know that they are able to impact like the hundreds of educational stakeholders, such as the teachers and the students. So that's why it's very important that actually they they also have this mindset and they are also um, making their decisions in the positive way in the adoption of this tool. And of course, we know that effective use of such tools, it can also lead better educational outcomes and a more efficient school operations. Having said this, we know that there's a lot of growth in EDM and the AI research, but there's a lack of empirical research, particularly the use of these tools by the school principals. And here we particularly highlight the primary and secondary school students because maybe they have done there was already previous research about the education leaders and how they use the um, how they use the data analytics in their institutions, but our main focus is the primary and secondary school students. Sorry. Hmm. And our objectives are the following. So we want to understand actually what are the patterns and while utilization of these problems, what kind of challenge they encounter and how they handle these challenges in a way that actually it can inform us some information in the design of more effective data analytics tools. We conducted the online interviews through semester semi-structured semi-structured interviews. We interviewed four principals and we did the semantic analysis. And this is the overall background of the principals whom we interviewed. So they all had a pretty much diverse background from the perspective of school type and the school type. And we defined the four of this initial code based on the questions that we asked in the interview. And while also coding the data, reviewing the data, we also agreed that we need to add the one more code, which is the impact of the regional and the national assertions on the decision. Because with all the principles, while we didn't have these questions, but we came to in certain parts of the interview, we came to the sections that we were discussing what's the impact of the regional or national authorities while they make the decisions to adopt this EDM code. The findings. So those are the primary tools that the Finnish school principals are using, and the main reasons that they are using are more about the administrative things such as the budgeting, timetabling, or managing the student admissions. And they generally do not use these tools in order to be able to check their students' academic performance. And they all mentioned that actually they believe that that should be the teacher's task, and the teachers are the primary people who are checking this data. Uh, then the first challenge is the integration of the data tools. They mentioned that they already have the systems, but the problem is that it's very hard to integrate them, and they have some time constraints because all of these platforms you need to dedicate time, you need to learn them, so it takes some time. And they need the automations in those platforms. Most of the tasks, they are still being done manually, and the privacy concerns, of course. And their solutions was that actually it should be more user friendly, it should be collaborative, so the different educational stakeholders at the same institution should be able to collaborate on this and the automations on these platforms. And they mentioned that actually they don't have any influence from the Ministry of Education or any government bodies, but they have to be really clearly communicate actually why they make the decisions on the selection of the certain platforms. Um, and if we can say that actually the principals have already so many administrative tasks due to evolving leadership roles, so that's why it's already harder for them to adapt the new tools or like the particularly the ones that actually they need to have some digital literacy. And and since we discussed a lot, and that the literature also mentions that it's also important that all these platforms, they don't only aim the principals, but they consider all the educational stakeholders, such as teachers, students, parents, and the principals, so that they can all collaborate on these platforms. And we already mentioned actually what are the main benefits and the challenges, but from the perspective of the future research, what could be interesting is that to conduct the similar interviews with the larger data, with larger countries, and conduct with the larger number of the principals. Uh, Thank you so much, and that's our contact email.